He can hear you, but he can't.
Rufus, I balled this right up.
Give us
we
an
start
hour.
again?
Give us an hour.
Should we start again?
No, right.
What do I do?
Look, I don't think he's noticed.
I think he has noticed.
Look, you can.
I think he might have noticed a bit.
Right. I mean, have you ever used Zoom?
No, not like this. No.
Right. But this still doesn't count
Can't see.
because you're on the wrong computer.
So what do I do?
And the boys and girls can't see him.
All right. So
Can you, boys and girls? If you see Rufus,
stop giving me problems. Give me solutions.
if you see Rufus, give us a shout. You need to admit me.
Oh, do I have to?
Here we go.
I actually.
Oh,
Hello.
hang on.
Went bing bong.
Hello.
Here we go.
There he is. Success. You see, I knew exactly how to do it.
But now you need to.
Do we have to see you?
You have to leave. You genuinely have to leave. So go.
There.
Yeah. End.
But if I end
No,
it, won't it be over?
no. Leave.
Don't leave.
No, she's left.
And scene. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're working in partnership with Zoom to show you just how easy this stuff is.
Hello,
I'm sorry, Rufus, but you remember what it was like working with me. I'm afraid nothing has changed.
I'm just delighted to see that now the talk radio money's gone, the levels of professionalism have actually gone up. If anything, this is the ringing endorsement of the right-wing ideal that by going private, actually great efficiencies can be made at no production cost. So congratulations on furthering the right-wing agenda I know you were so keen to be a part of at Talk Radio.
Yeah, it was a shame that they couldn't fit us in.
Hello, Rufus. So which one of those two boxes behind you is going to be your breakfast tomorrow?
Oh.
There's lovely cereals.
Basically, when my children are here, this is what we have. When my children are not here, this is what I have.
Oh, look at that one. I've never had Lucky Charms, and it's like Lucky Charms and Twinkies, grits. Those are the three American meals, and I've never had Lucky Charms. Tasty?
They're a lovely thing to eat dry.
You don't milk them.
There's not many of them.
Well, quite, right? A sugar puff you can eat dry. You can enjoy it like a sort of low-cal, dry-roasted peanut. But Lucky Charms, man. Stick them in a mug and toss a few back.
Listen, we have viewers from all over the world, and I'm going to be honest, some of them may not have been touched by the, I was going to say the finger of Rufus, and that just sounds completely inappropriate. What I mean is that those who don't know, Rufus is a comedian, actor, singer, writer, broadcaster. Yeah. He's one of them, isn't he?
Entrepreneur. Sponsor of beard products. Drinker of beer.
Drinker of beer. Currently enjoying a rather delicious thing. Pineapple Express IPA, a co-production between Tiny Rebel and Polly's Brew Company. It's a delicious, fresh, summery IPA.
What? Lilt beer?
There's a touch of that, sure. But, it's totally tropical. So that's A-OK.
We have a message in the chat from K. Samwell. Ian, say to Robert that I was in a show with him when he was 15.
Shh.
Okay, good for you.
Who's Robert? Who's Robert? Who are we supposed to be talking about?
There is another way of reading that message, which is, hi, I'm better than everyone else because I know his real name. Look at me.
Oh, is that your real name?
Me.
I didn't know that was your real name.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. May I ask why it was changed? Was it a career thing? Was it work?
You ask. Like,
May I ask,
the most delicate of subjects.
The reason is he's on the run from the law, and now he's going to have to pack everything up again.
Some people get a little bit, why do you want to know? And then you find out that something terrible happened to them and that they've had to change identities to overcome the trauma.
The problem is that the story is so boring that the preamble makes it feel that it could have the frisson of excitement. And then when the reality strikes, it feels like a letdown for everyone. But simply put, in about 1999, do you remember everybody lost their mind that if you didn't have your own .com, then you'd be dead within 6 months?
Yeah. Yes, I remember.
And now we realise actually none of that matters. It's not even how people look for websites. But at the time, oh my God. So my real name was Rob Simpson. I looked at robsimpson.com. That was gone to an American motivational speaker. I then looked at harryhill.com, which was a black screen with white writing on it that just said, this domain is available for $250,000. And I thought, well, with the internet on the approach, I just need to come up with a .com that doesn't already exist to be somebody who does not yet, manifest digitally. And so, sat in a cafe thinking of good names for a stand-up comedian. And that is that story. I'm sorry it isn't more interesting.
Do you know what? I am interested by people's names because Lee isn't my real. Well, is my real last name now, but it wasn't my birth last name. I love name change stories, even if they might seem slightly tedious to the person who's telling them.
I have a secret surname, of course.
Yep.
Which I've never revealed because where I worked before I was married, there was a rabid stalker. So I decided if I were ever to have a married alter ego, I would keep it secret so that no one could trace me or my resulting children, and that's the way it stayed.
Very reasonable. Although, I mean, some irony to the fact that probably the biggest weirdo you work with every day. So
this is true. And he does know where I live.
I know.
Roberto Peroni. What? You two work together. You were like tonight. The part of Iain Lee will be played by Rufus Hound. You filled in for me a bit at Talk Radio.
Yeah.
I always hated it when you filled in because people would always bang on about, well, it's a shame Ian's not here, but I really like Rufus. I love it. Because normally when someone fills, they go, Ian's not in, I'm not going to listen, even when it was you. But when it was Rufus, it's like, it's a shame Rufus. I wish Rufus could do more, actually. And it was always a little bit of a, what? No. But so you two know, I'm going to shut up and let you two chat.
Wow.
Well, no, but I think the point is, you see, I functioned as a sorbet in your full braised steak dinner, that people tune into you every night and get the full meat and veg.
Yeah.
And when I turned up, it was just I would let people talk. Apart from, I also then took the view that I should try and make the least entertaining radio possible.
Thank you.
You did a whole section of the show as someone else, I remember, as well, and regretted it because it did affect your voice quite badly.
Yeah, and I swore up a storm. I mean, I was really waiting for a phone call in the following days that just it told me that was absolutely not permitted. But very clearly, nobody listened.
No, didn't nobody in power listen to the show?
No, just as well. And we got away with it for a long time, and it was beautiful for a while.
Well, that's the fun, right? Isn't it? Is just getting away with it until you don't. But I mean, that's your whole career, and largely the thing that plunge you into the kind of tsunami of chaos that you ever bob about in the pair of you is that you will push it until you get fired. The result being that at some point you get fired.
Come in, Pat.
Hang on, Cat.
Pat's is coming in. Come in, darling.
Cat.
Good girl. Pat.
But, the journey to unemployment remains, every new adventure, every new quest towards unemployment remains resolutely entertaining.
Yeah, I've had much more entertaining life since I became a chancer.
Yeah.
Really, I did it all the right way, and it was boring. I'm going to be honest, it was boring for a long time, and it didn't get me anywhere. And it turns out going, I'll have a go is the way forward, actually.
Yeah,
and you're that sort of person who, I mean, did you realise at any point that you would be at some point strutting around the stage as Mr. Toad or acting in, musical theatre and stuff? Because like the whole comedy thing was sort of, people assumed that you were something you weren't and you went with it. Isn't that right?
I don't know. I think, I mean, being more generous, I think maybe I assumed I was something that I wasn't and went with it. And I'm still waiting to find out what that thing is. And in the darker days, you think what that is a shadowy imposter who should be let nowhere near any form of entertainment. And then on other days, on the good days, you think, well, why wouldn't everybody be queuing up to hand me an award of some kind? I'm clearly one of the most blisteringly talented human beings to have ever walked the earth. And, as ever, you're just somewhere on that graph at any given point and take a deep breath and keep swinging punches until someone tells you not to.
Yeah, that sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I've been living for the last 25 years. But it's tiring. I'm tired of it.
Yeah, it's it feels like it might be a young man's game, and weirdly, I think there are people that I really looked up to growing up, amazing comedians who subsequently went into things like, I'm going to write books or I'm going to work behind the scenes and whatever. And you think, oh, that's a shame. They just got old and stale and couldn't really cut it anymore. But actually, it seems to me, the older I get, that the people who really have made a lot of money don't think I can't cut it anymore. They think, oh, I've actually done enough now that I don't have to live this bizarre knife edge lifestyle. I think maybe from the outside looking in, I've got a degree of fame or a degree of following on Twitter or what have you, or a name, a brand, call it what you will. But the truth is, if I don't work for 6 weeks, I'm fucked. As this pandemic is, rapidly pointing out. But, I earn money, but I spend the money pretty quickly because of families and bills, but also because of fun and not wanting to be the same as everyone else and refusing to take life too seriously. And that is profoundly precarious. So if I had done the Little Britain Stadium tour, maybe I might think, oh, I don't need to go play to play to play to play. I could stay at home for a while.
Well, the Little Britain obviously are struggling now because they're all part. They're people are trying to desperately cancel them at the moment. It's you can be the huge country's favourite one day, and then it can all be unpleasant. How are you finding it mentally, the lockdown?
Well, I don't really know, because I've lost such semblance of what it is to be an actual person that I don't know how what I feel relates to anything. Maybe that's a weird way of putting it, but I think over the last year especially, really being very aware of how intrinsic my job is to my sense of self-worth, and then suddenly a period existing where there is no job to do. So then what does that mean for who you are? And the answer to that is I don't know. And I have instead just been feeling like I'm going, as mad as everyone else, but still mad. But then, I wrote a thing on Twitter the other day about this, and somebody gave me a quote which just feels like it sort of cuts to the nub of it, which is from St. Anthony. And he wrote, "A time is coming when men will go mad, and when they see someone who is not mad, they will attack him, saying, 'You are mad, you are not like us.'" And I think that's about how I feel. The small scale stuff is about how unsettled I am in an industry that already is profoundly unsettling and insecure. But then the bigger picture stuff is that we are being governed through what feels like a genuinely dangerous time by people who are gaslighting us. That they will literally stand there and say the rules on masks have always been very clear, but we all know that they haven't been. The Prime Minister will stand there and say, I am receiving calls from other heads of state congratulating us on how we have dealt with this pandemic. And that is not true. And the fallback for any of those guys, the punishment, the justice for any of those guys is zero. In fact, it may even be, if previous governments are anything to go by, that you just keep benefiting some group of financial backers. And then when the public catches up to you and runs you out of town, then you've got, speaking engagements, and you've got, what do they call it? You act as an advisor on their board and things like that. So that basically it's all very above board. None of it seems like a tuck up or bribery. You say, I help this industry, I come from a place of knowledge, and now I work for that company. And for 30 days work a year, you trouser £250,000. Well, that is corruption, but we all know that is happening, and we all just go, oh no, that all seems perfectly above board and reasonable. So my son, for example, was elected as his class rep, largely because he told me it was a chance to improv some new material. But everybody else who stood up and sort of spoke about why they should be doing it he said, "They just didn't have it, Dad. They just didn't have it." So he stood up and like cracked a few jokes. Sure enough, he lands it. So now he's the class rep. Everyone's very impressed. But he got told off for talking in the back of class a little while ago, and he said he found it profoundly unfair because the teacher said to him, "I expect better than this from an elected, a member of the elected, the council or what have you."
Wow.
And he came home and said, "Well, if I'd known I was going to get extra shit, I'd have never signed up for it in the first place."
Boris Johnson's probably said similar things.
Well, that's what I said. I said to him, "Look, if that happens again, you can just turn to your teacher and say, but I've looked at elected officials in the world, miss, and I've come to the conclusion that actually not obeying the rules, doing whatever pleases you in the short term to your own short-term gain, seems to be very much how officialdom works now in the Western world." And he loved it so much, he wrote it down as I was trying to tell him, obviously, if you do say that, you will be suspended. But it's that, like, I don't know. So the micro is how I feel in the world, and the macro is that we're governed by gaslight. And then the tier up from that is that we seem to be faced with a disease that kills 30 times more than the normal flu. But so far, it appears, obviously with exceptions, and please, for anybody who has been affected in an unexpected way or in a way that's a statistical outlier, please know that I am not poo-pooing or dismissing your grief, the life of somebody undoubtedly brilliant who was taken far too soon. But all of that said, it seems like it has only really put paid to, or in the vast majority, only put paid to people who already had relatively severe underlying health conditions. But we are all prepared to stay in for 3 months because it might kill us like that, right? And we know that the effect that that's going to have on the economy, we know on the effect it's going to have on people's lives, businesses, the full works. That. Within 20 years, soil will fail. Soil that we require to grow things will fail. Within 20 years, the rising sea levels will cause vast amounts of people to be dispossessed from their homes. And as a globe, we will experience a global refugee crisis. We are already seeing the first waves of that now. The crises that we're seeing are undoubtedly governed by war, but those power grabs are largely informed by the geopolitical changing times that global warming has brought to us. Every human being on Earth may, as a result of those changes, become dead. May become unable to continue living on planet Earth. So what I don't get is this. As a planet, we were able to look at something relatively short-term with comparatively small risk and agree as a species to accept the damage to our economies, jobs, and lives. But we know that within the next 20 years, something is going to kill all of us, and we are doing fuck all about it! Less than fuck all about it!
But now that the flights are grounded, that means it's all fixed?
Oh, you'll start reversing, of course.
The flights are grounded. We've fixed planet Earth.
I think we need to have things on the slab in front of us before we believe that it's a problem, and unfortunately that's what it took. Although now we're being told that we're pussies if we don't go back to work and we don't go out to places and have something delicious to eat.
Nick Ferrari was telling people that they were late, a millionaire who works in a very safe environment which doesn't have much contact with people, telling people that you have to go back to work because we all know that people, when they're working from home, are just sitting in their pajamas watching This Morning. Well, that's really offensive to the millions of people that are working from home. That's an insane thing to say. But that was a thing that Talk Radio were pushing really early on in lockdown. Go back to work. Go back to work. Pizza Express and Weatherspoons are more important than my mum. That's what I've learnt in the last 6 months, and that's awful.
Yeah.
It is awful, but I don't think it's not without grounds. Is the tricky thing. I mean, that's the adult thing, right?
Yeah.
Is that, yes, is the safety of our older members of our society, of our families and of our communities, are their lives worth less than ... But equally, because of the nature of poverty in this country, because of a dwindling social security system and all of those things, it does get to a point not very far down the road where by living in poverty, the risks to you and your health and your ability to carry on and continue get lower as a result. So actually you can try and stem the effects of COVID, but the effects of poverty, once GDP dips below about 7%, was a thing I read. Somebody more knowledgeable than me might be able to have a better statistic on that. But basically, once GDP dips by 7%, the effects of poverty will kill more people than are predicted to be killed as a result of COVID. So I'm not saying that Pizza Express is more important than your mum.
They're lovely pizzas. They're good pizzas. Their dough balls are amazing.
Yeah, but there is the in broader terms, people not being able to continue with work and earn a living and support themselves.
That just makes me think. And I don't know what the answer is. But our entire system is based on a falsehood and is based on we've got it wrong. If that is more important, if the whole, this is capitalism. If the whole thing depends on people going out, putting other people's lives at risk so they can spend, well, that system sucks. We got it wrong 100 years ago, 200 years ago, whenever it was.
Yeah, turns out.
Yes.
Well, that's sorted.
Yes, we did. Yes, yes.
That's sorted.
What we need is proper socialism.
I'm a socialist. I didn't know.
Well, I mean, it's very upsetting, isn't it? Because once you realise that there is a way of doing this where you basically get any company making a pound coin in this country to agree that the staff were educated in the education system, they got to work on the public transport system, on the roads that were paid for by road taxes, that once you see, I see the corporate tax as a concept is just about resupplying the infrastructure that allows everyone to flourish, it isn't really a terribly dark argument. It isn't communism. It isn't gulags. It is literally just, if you make money here, the thing that allows you to make money is these people who need to be healthy and fed and housed and those things. So we just keep that system going and everybody does better as a result. What changed is that by having largely media owned by billionaires, the way that all arguments are put to us is through the lens of everything is fine, nothing should change, how do we maintain the status quo? And it is the status quo that is killing us. Over the course of the pandemic, what do you know? The richest 1% doubled their wealth. In 2008, when we had the global financial meltdown, what happened over that? Drum roll, please. Guess is in the chat. That's right. The rich doubled their wealth. So the idea that this money has disappeared or there are crashes or whatever is not true. The fabric of our society, the pillars of our society, the society that we had built has systematically been stolen and sold off and profited from. And so, yes, ultimately, your point is we're doing this all wrong is exactly right. You cannot have a finite amount of resources and permanent economic growth without killing the planet. And that's what capitalism requires, is that everybody's making more and more and more of everything all the time.
Would you like me to do another 15-minute podcast where I just repeat your name over and over again, like I did about 15 years ago? So someone reminded me of that earlier on. I don't remember why I did it, but I did a podcast just going, Rufus Hound, Rufus Hound.
Do you know what I'm finding in there is in the chat there's a little bit of well, this is very left-wing, isn't it? Yes. Doesn't it make a change? Doesn't it make a change?
It is very left-wing. I'm sorry, everyone in the chat. If you were here for, something a bit more talk radio-y. In a minute, I'll tell you why gypsies are shit. How about that?
Send them all back. All these.
Send them back.
I was on Twitch earlier on, and I talked about Dan Wootton, and I said, well, these unskilled migrants coming over here stealing British people's jobs. And someone went, well, you're going to get kicked off Twitch for that. I said, no, I won't. Yeah, people have been kicked off for much worse. So we had a big argument. And then there was someone from Twitch in the chat saying, no, don't worry, he won't. So totally destroyed.
As long as you don't get your tits out, I think we're fine on Twitch, aren't we? Everything else is fair game.
No nipples. Apart from that, let's go.
Well, yeah, no nipples are the thing on Twitch. Although Amaranth, I don't know how familiar are you with the world of Twitch, Rufus?
I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons on Twitch for the last 20 weeks.
Oh, shut up! Have you?
Yeah.
Under what?
Yeah.
Under your is your channel your name?
No. It's there's a man called Paul Foxcroft who is one of the best dungeon masters in the world.
Oh,
love it.
And he has been running Dungeons and Dragons as a live show, as a sort of improv live show.
Okay.
Under the banner of Questing Time.
Oh, I think I saw him record a pilot for Audible a lifetime ago. Yeah, I've seen that. Brilliant.
Yeah, it's been absolutely incredible, and without doubt, something that has rather saved me during lockdown.
We will get a link to that. People in the chat are asking for a link. We'll get a link, and we'll have some.
It's very basic. It's literally twitch.tv/questing time.
There we go. All right, beautiful.
You were going to tell me about Amaranth.
Oh yeah, so Amaranth is one of the most successful streamers, and well, sometimes she'll go out. You'll just see her shopping in the supermarket. She's a very attractive young woman. Sometimes you'll see her, and Kath won't let me do this, but in very tight hot pants and a very tight vest.
Apparently, that's ideal for painting. For doing big paintings,
and then dancing. Loads of subs, and then sometimes she gets kicked out of gyms on streams and is incredibly racist. So it's a real mix of styles that she employs. It's some amazing. It's a real mix of styles. And once she got suspended off Twitch only for 3 days for showing.
Well, let's just say her shorts didn't cover quite as much as they should have.
She wasn't wearing no underwear.
An unlucky plunge.
So I just think. We are 2, 3 right now. Sexual, sexy people.
Yeah.
And we really should be milking this. I don't mean milking it like that.
Gosh,
that sounded vulgar.
This party's changed.
We could be making a lot of money with our sex.
All right, let me. You keep talking. I'll see what I can rustle up.
Here we go. This is the content that people want. I was thinking about this today. This is what we need to do. We need to freshen up. Here we go.
Oh my god.
Here we go. Uh oh.
Now, obviously, if there was a nipple in the stream, that could get you in trouble. So I'm gonna
nipples in the stream. That is what we want. We can't have any nipples, guys.
Oh, I think we're about to see
TOS. Where
Oh, there we go. No nipples.
Is that?
Hang on. Let's just. There we go.
That is going to hurt when you take it off, but let's not think about that now.
Is that a bit more what you were after for the stream?
Oh god.
It's the hat that does it for some reason. I wasn't that bothered. I thought that's disappointing. The hat goes on, but ding. It's just ads.
What about a rayfish neckerchief?
Oh. Now it looks like
it looks like a big baby now.
Baby's about to be fed dinner.
Oh, not so good.
Baby's about to be fed dinner.
There
we go. Then. Let's look at these subs and these bits coming in.
Ching, 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 ching.
We got a Rufus raid. Holy shit.
Yeah. Meanwhile, your family's away and they're wondering, what Daddy's doing right now? Well,
this is the least weird thing I've done all day.
Thank you, Orions, for the 100 bits. I think it deserved a bit more. Rufus, it's nice to see you, man. I mean, I don't remember. We have met a few times, but not for years. I don't think.
Long old time.
I was on Celebrity Juice, I think, when you were doing it.
Yeah, back in the day. I think you came and did one.
Brigitte Nielsen was on there. She told me off for doing Michael Jackson jokes. He was a good friend of mine. How dare you?
Oh.
And then we did a couple of others. I don't really remember.
Well,
I don't remember.
The only one I really remember is that you did the pilot of Argumental.
Oh gosh, was that it? Yes, and it was Miranda Hart.
That's right.
And
and you, me, and John Sargent and Marcus Brigstock.
Yeah, and I never got asked back for the series. I'm rubbish at those things. I'm rubbish at panel shows and those things where you've got to be quick-witted and where it's not my domain. I like things like the radio show where it's me or it's me and Kath, and it's, you know, I kind of own it or we own it. The shows where you go in and
You've got to sharpen your elbows.
Yeah, I don't like that. I'm not very good at those things. I struggle at those things.
Well, and the other thing is that when they get booked, when you go really kind of stand up, you find quite a narrow pool often from which to choose. Like if the agent says, yes, we'll let you have Jimmy Carr, you know that there are 3 other acts that you're also going to have to take before they let you book Jimmy Carr. So, you know, to an extent, I think that's probably less true now than it was then. I mean, that was 10 years ago or something. And I think probably booking policies on those things have necessarily and rightly had to be a bit more representative and a bit less old boys club. But, yeah.
It's I'm going to be honest, it's so hard for me as a white man to get work in the industry. At this present moment in time, it's outrageous, guys. Rufus, let's start a white man club because work just ain't happening for us because of people like this. My God, thanks a lot. Jeez.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Just wanted a little turn.
I had to campaign so hard to get Katherine to be, no disrespect to you, but I heard someone else covering for me when I was off. It was really boring. And it took so much pushing from me and pushing from Katherine and the listeners as well, for her to be allowed to be my fill-in on the show that she co-presented anyway. It was a real slog to make that happen, wasn't it?
Well, I was just the co-presenter, I was told directly.
Yeah. And I'm sorry I said that, but that's how I felt at the time.
We did have one small conversation about this, Kath and I.
Yeah.
After they'd let you do it once, they then phoned me and asked me if I was free to do it like some time down the line.
Yeah.
And Kath and I had a chat, and I was like, if I say no to this, does that mean that you get it again? Or I don't even think it was that direct, was it?
I think I was going away or something, but you were just making sure that there wasn't any brinksmanship involved. And
yeah, or that they weren't just overlooking you, which seemed to be kind of a fairly permanent way of being. But yeah, I mean, look, one of the things about fairness in this industry is that it doesn't really exist because it's all founded on stardust anyway. There's no real, like when Samira Ahmed, who's a friend of mine, hang on, ignore me. I have this weird thing with names where the moment I say a name, I immediately start panicking that I've got the name wrong.
Yeah.
And then I just freeze because my brain is too busy screaming at itself.
Are you friends with Samira Ahmed or not? Because I'm a friend of hers and I can email her. I don't have a phone number and check right now. So what you say next better be true.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I interviewed Samira Ahmed on my Radio 4 show. And she... where was I going with this? Sorry, the whole panic that I suddenly...
Was it the BBC suing thing, where she sued the BBC?
Oh, yeah, when they when they said she was a pub piano player compared to Jeremy Vine's concert pianist.
That's right. And don't get me wrong, I think all of that's nonsense, and I think that a system where you just get paid for doing the job as opposed to getting paid for whatever else is probably better. But show business has always, it seems to me, worked on if you have more of a name than someone else, then you'll get paid more than them. Mm-hmm. Now, you can absolutely look at the structural biases within that and say, well, why is it men get paid more? Or why is it that men are more famous or do have more star power? And that's the thing to tear down. But if I was in a show with, I don't know, Christina Ricci, why would that be the first name that came to mind? But I would expect her to be paid more because she's a much bigger draw than I am.
Yeah.
And so that's what I don't necessarily get about that kind of notional fairness. Is it's just if you went out tomorrow and punched Nigel Farage in the face, your marketability has just gone up 30-fold, both from the people who want to crucify you for doing it and the people who want to praise you for it. But it's just that you're having a moment that you're hot property and maybe you can monetize that more than it is. This is the fixed rate we would have to talk to anybody. And this woman who made fish fingers for tea is as interesting and therefore as valuable to us as you. Just doesn't quite work, does it? So I understand why talk radio might think, oh well, let's get somebody with 1 million Twitter followers, because then he's basically doing our marketing for us or what have you, and growing our brand. But in fairness, and looking at it fairly and feeling fairly about it, it's like, no, if Ian's not there, it should just always be Kath doing it, and then you get someone in to be your sidekick. That. I think we even talked about that at one point, that it should just be your show and I'd chime in with bullshit. But I think what we have definitely learned over the last 48 minutes is that me speaking isn't a problem. So that may also have informed how they thought we might fill the time.
So questing time on Twitch. I guess is that the only way people can see you during this weird moment in human history?
It has been, yeah, on the whole. I've done a few other bits and pieces. I did a lockdown quiz and, one thing and another. But I just pretty quickly, I don't think entirely unlike anyone else, I just pretty quickly got over it.
Yeah.
But in those first few weeks, it's like, whoa, what's the online game? What's everyone doing? Like, if you need a thing, give me a ring. And then 4 weeks later, I'm like, fuck off. Leave me alone.
I don't want to do your quiz.
I don't want to do your shit. I don't want to film something in my front room and pretend that we're all having a wonderful time. This is awful.
Rufus, it's nice to see you. Stay safe.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being so kind to my friend, who I love dearly. So she's constantly been singing your praises. So thank you. I hope that doesn't sound
it's weird because whenever we talk about you, she's very down on the whole.
She hates me, and that's why I stick close to her to spite her.
He does. Thanks, Rufus. It's so nice to see you.
It's very lovely to see you too.
So do you want to do an online quiz on Saturday as you're home alone? We can get a few friends together.
Question number 1. Binky Joe.
No.
Yeah.
See you later, man. Take care.
Bye.
Take care. Bye. 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 Oh, I need to go to the right.